mild, slightly salty taste and a smooth texture that will melt in your mouth.
Named after its place of origin in the north of France, Brie cheese has been made at this Cornville plant in Quebec since 1977.
What I like the most about working in this facility is a lot of the cheesemakers here have been here for over 30 years, and they're proud of the products that we make here.
To make Brie L'Extra, milk and cream is pasteurized at 75 degrees Celsius and pumped into large cheese vats. It takes 10 liters of milk to make 1 kilo of cheese.
A bacteria culture known as a starter is added to develop the flavor. Also added is rennet, an enzyme that makes the milk proteins bind together or curdle. Finally, a mold called penicillium, the essential ingredient that makes this cheese into Brie.
The penicillium is the white fuzzy coat on Brie, and it tastes slightly like mushrooms.
Mushrooms and cheese. Not a bad pairing. The antibiotic drug penicillin is derived from this mold as well. But to work for penicillin, the mold is put under stress, while with Brie, it's encouraged to grow.
The mixture is now pumped into 200-liter vats, where it is left to curdle for 30 minutes.
Curdling forms, well, curd, and an expert cheesemaker checks to see if it's firm enough to cut. It's important to use the human touch, since the curd sets at a different speed every time.
There are machines that can help out on the good jobs, like cutting the curd.
Over the last 30 years, AgroPure have introduced automation to the process, but the machines are used for their strength, while the details left to the experts.
Next, a set of mechanical arms mixes the curds, and the leftover water, called whey, is drained.
Now, the curds need a little structure, so they head towards the molding machine.
The molds are the reason the cheese will end up as wheels. These molds are 32.5 centimeters in diameter, but AgroPure also makes a smaller version.
A machine stacks the molds, and they set for 40 minutes. But to prevent a concave shape, they're unstacked, turned 180 degrees, and left to set again. They are then turned a second time and left to drain for at least 10 hours. After the 360-degree spin, the young cheeses are ready to be released from their molds. They're shaken slightly to loosen them up, then flipped onto a rack.
Kevin's been stacking these cheeses for 12 years.
I've seen over 40 millions of kilos of cheese. It's a lot of cheese.
96 cheeses are lifted into a giant bath of salt water, a process called brining.
The salty bath isn't for cleaning, it's to give the cheese some flavor.
Depending on the recipe, the Brie will stay in the brine for a different amount of time. The Brie that we're making today will be in the brine for 85 minutes.
Once brined, the cheeses head to the first ripening room.
First ripening, the cheeses are placed on an angle to ensure that all the brine will drip off the cheese.
The brine has to go, or else the cheese will be too wet to ripen.
The cheeses are kept in this warm room for approximately 18 hours, which will kickstart the growth of the penicillium.
With the brine fully drained, the cheeses move to a cooler room running at 4 degrees for 9 days. There, the creamy cheeses are given careful attention.
We have to flip them because the cheese is so soft, so they'll actually fall through the cheese racks if they're left there too long.
The flipping also helps distribute the salty flavor evenly through the cheese.
And these experts not only check for flavor, but for a mushroom-like smell and creamy texture.
They decide when the penicillium has completed its job, and the Brie L'Extra is perfectly ripe.
It takes approximately 10 days for the penicillium to mature, and the product is usually at its best somewhere around 45 days. That's when the texture of the cheese is the creamiest.
And now it's time for packaging, because these ripe wheels are ready to roll.
Each wheel is wrapped in wax paper with micro perforations so it can breathe, and the special paper comes from a fitting place.
We actually import the paper that's used to wrap our products from France because we can't get it in Canada.
One complete batch makes 603 kilogram cheeses, each one boxed carefully by hand.
The boxes are packed 128 cheese wheels per pallet and shipped
addition, L'Extra Double Cream Brie makes for a smooth centerpiece to your cheese plate. They're sweet, they're brown, and they're packed with Georgia pecans. Small wonder they're called Purdy's Sweet Georgia Browns.
Gooey caramel and smooth Belgian chocolate combined with nuts from Georgia, which is the United States leader in pecan production. The state averages 40 million kilos a year. It was 1907 when Richard Purdy first made caramels in his Vancouver kitchen. Today, Purdy's is one of the biggest chocolate retailers in Western Canada.
Our best-selling chocolate at Purdy's is Sweet Georgia Browns. It's that sweet, salty combination, brings people back time and time again.
It all begins with a box of jumbo Georgia pecans. The nuts bounce on a vibrating table, which gets rid of unwanted bits of shell.
The shells are lighter, so they jump higher, and Sandy's reflexes make quick work of it.
She'll need to be quick. Upwards of 750 kilograms of pecans are used every day. The pecans fall into a box and they're ready to be roasted.
70 kilos of pecans are loaded into wire baskets, then cooked for 25 minutes in coconut oil, heated to 163 degrees.
We use coconut oil because it has the best flavor of any other choice that we could come up with. It brings out the flavor of that natural pecan.
The basket is lifted from its coconut bath and is left to drain for 10 minutes.
To cool completely, the pecans are pushed and pulled on a cooling table.
Roasted pecans taste great, but it's Jess's job to make them even better.
Everybody knows that nuts taste better with salt.
Chocolate and caramel won't hurt either, so the pecans are moved to the assembly room.
Some things are just better if done by hand. Shannon scatters the salty pecans over a portioning tray.
This job is nuts.
Maybe so, Shannon, but Purdy's have cracked a perfect recipe, and it's important to make sure 12.5 grams of pecans go into each Sweet Georgia Brown.
Making Sweet Georgia Browns, we use in excess of 20,000 kilograms of pecans every year.
The pecan portions fall into the trays they'll be sold in, which helps Purdy's stay efficient.
The trays are placed 12 to a rack. That takes care of the Georgia part.
And now, for the sweet. Sugar and glucose are carefully measured according to Purdy's top-secret recipe. They're heated along with 10 liters of cream in a big copper kettle over an open flame.
Copper is used because it's an excellent conductor, so it distributes the heat evenly.
When you're cooking confectionery, specific temperatures are so important. It will give a proper consistency and texture. It won't be too hard or won't be too soft.
Once the mixture reaches 177 degrees Celsius, 10 more liters of cream are slowly added.
And for more good news, after decreasing to 110 degrees, next comes over a kilo of butter.
Then, back up to 115 degrees, vanilla flavoring enters the mix.
You know, it's more like a science experiment than making candy. Each batch of caramel takes 45 minutes to cook and will make over 1,500 Sweet Georgia Browns. The fresh caramel is poured into a hopper, and the trade pecans are ready to be smothered.
Caramel then filters all through those pecans. It helps to infuse the caramel around the pecans, and then in turn, when we pour the chocolate on it, it covers everything.
The salted pecans are drowned in piping hot caramel. Not a bad way to go. One full batch fills 216 trays. Then they're left to cool for 2 hours.
And as if pecans and caramel together aren't enough, the final ingredient is Belgian chocolate.
Belgians have mastered the art of making chocolate from decades of experience. Some really unmatched.
Large slabs of chocolate weighing 4.5 kilos are melted down to a temperature of 42 degrees Celsius. When it's nice and smooth, the chocolate is poured into a hopper that feeds a chocolate depositor.
It's the depositor's job to top off these layered sweets.
One of our jobs is to eat chocolate. So are you tempted to take chocolate off the line? Absolutely. And do we? Yeah, we do. Tasting is part of what we do.
Kristen, my resume's in the mail. The boxes are brought to this packaging line while the chocolate is still sitting.
So it's a good thing the team moves quickly, packing 8 boxes every minute.
This Vancouver plant can produce over 27,000 Sweet Georgia Browns in a day and upwards of 145,000 a month.
Finished boxes are stored in a cool room so they stay solid before they're shipped off to one of Purdy's exclusive stores.
People come into the stores and they say, I want those big things with the pecans and the gooey caramel, and they're just amazing. And our teams in our shops say, Sweet Georgia Browns. They know right away.
Sweet caramel, Georgia pecans, and rich